Welcome back everyone to another stimulus check and stimulus package update. By the time this video is uploaded, today, September 8th, Congress is now back in session after a short hiatus, but it felt like an eternity with so many millions of Americans awaiting the next stimulus check and more relief. In this update, I want to cover some prospective potential routes that the next stimulus package could be passed through, as well as some updates for you. And as always, if you have been enjoying these stimulus package and stimulus check updates, then you are going to want to be sure to hit that like button for me. It will just greatly support me. I do appreciate it. We are on the road to 3,000 subscribers, which was inconceivable just a year ago. I didn't think I'd be where I am right now today, but it's all because of you guys and your support. So I'm very grateful for every single one of you. I love you all. And I post videos now almost every single solitary day. So if you're not sick of seeing me and hearing me talk, then by all means, all the power to you. Go ahead and subscribe to my channel and hit that little notification bell as well. That will just notify you every single time I make a new video. I do appreciate when you do that as well. Last time Congress was active and negotiating the last stimulus package went into a stalemate after both parties could not reach an agreement before summer recess. And it's worth noting that the Senate will be back. However, the House of Representatives, that body of Congress, is not going to be back in session until September 14th, a week from today. Now, during the recess, there was very little communication between both parties as well as the White House, and we could not reach any concrete agreement, not even just a gentleman's agreement, let alone an actual bill. So let's take a look at where we left off with the last stimulus package that never came to fruition and what would need to happen for the next stimulus bill to be passed. So if you all remember, on that fateful Friday several weeks ago, back toward the beginning of August, when both parties were coming in for the last voting sessions, hopes were supremely high for there to be an agreement reached. Both houses of Congress, both parties were vociferously supportive of another round of stimulus, and for the most part, both parties were also in agreement where support was needed the most. To paint the picture, both parties and both houses of Congress openly supported another round of stimulus checks, extended unemployment benefits, small business relief, and other measures to support the economy. The only issue, and a drastic one, was that how much of support should each of these line items receive, and what should the total final cost of the stimulus package be. The Republican-led Senate wanted to keep the price tag of the next stimulus package just around $1 trillion, whereas the Democrats were a lot more liberal with their spending. In fact, they had passed the HEROES Act back in May in the House of Representatives that came with a $3.4 trillion price tag. That bill was a non-starter. The Senate was against it, as well as the White House. They said there is absolutely no chance of it being passed, let alone going to the president's desk. So the Republican Senate proposed the $1 trillion HEALS Act. However, it was rejected by Democrats as it was viewed that it would not help Americans enough with the issues that they're facing today. So even though Democrats were eager and raring to pass that $3 trillion HEROES Act, they were willing to negotiate and come down, and so they finally came down to $2 trillion, but that still was too rich for Republicans to accept. There's also a dichotomy between Democrats and Republicans on how much aid should be provided to different groups. As we have become well acquainted with, the Democrats were vehemently pushing to extend the $600 weekly benefits, the federal pandemic compensation benefits for unemployed Americans, but Republicans don't want to do $600. They'd be willing to do as high as $400. Republicans were opposed to extending the $600 benefits because it was a disincentive to return back to work and would only incentivize people to sit on their couch and not seek employment. Fiscally conservative Republicans were also against sending excessive federal aid to state and local governments, as it would be a bailout for agencies that were already mismanaging their money. State and local government support is high on the Democrats' agenda. So immediately when it became evident that both parties would not come to a consensus prior to the August recess, President Trump put pen to paper and signed a series of executive orders. These were technically 3 presidential memorandums as well as 1 executive order targeted towards giving Americans swift, direct relief. So in those executive actions, we witnessed a $300 weekly unemployment benefit extension, nowhere near the $600 extension that Democrats want. There was also a payroll tax holiday for those earning less than $100,000 per year, which got backlash from both Democrats and Republicans. We also saw student loan relief and an eviction moratorium blocking evictions. But these were temporary measures at best and lack the full weight of the bills that could be drafted and voted into law by Congress. See, the president only has so much power. Congress is the legislative branch that has a jurisdiction to appropriate funds and raise revenue, and that's why you saw a lot of criticism from Democrats toward President Trump's executive actions, and they were even called unconstitutional. For example, the weekly unemployment insurance benefit of $300 a week That's being funded by reallocating FEMA funds and is more limited in scope than it would be if drafted into law by Congress and then passed by the president. Also, there was a prerequisite in that executive action that stated that individual states must apply to FEMA for access to those funds, and funds are limited, meaning it's possible that the benefits may run out within a short time period. And also, as it stands right now, unless it is passed and confirmed by Congress, the payroll tax holiday is not technically a payroll tax cut that Trump has so long desired. It is only a payroll tax deferment. So unless the laws are rewritten, there will be a gargantuan size bill due in just a few months' time that most Americans will not be able to pay back. And because none of these laws were changed as Congress was on vacation, many employers are opting out of this payroll tax deferment and are changing their payroll process at this time, meaning many people aren't even receiving the intended benefit from the president. The executive actions from Trump were absolutely a small step in progress. However, they were greatly limited in scope and duration. So with that being said, now that Congress is back to work, what can we expect in the next session before Election Day? Well, during the recess, there was some discussion of the Republican-led Senate proposing a $500 billion skinny stimulus bill, which we have covered many times in this channel before. This would be a scaled-back version of the $1 trillion HEALS Act that was rejected by the Democrats in the last voting sessions. So it's vastly believed that when both parties come back to work, they will focus specifically on areas that both parties agree on the most. This would include funding for expanded unemployment benefits, PPP and small business loans, liability protections, education funding, funding for virus testing and vaccines, as well as funding for the USPS. But even in those areas where there is bipartisan support, there is still division regarding how much funds should actually be allocated to those areas. However, it's absolutely worth noting that the next stimulus package may not even include another stimulus check, even though both parties have vocally supported another round of stimulus checks, as well as the president. So currently it's unknown whether or not the skinny package will be passed or another version of a skinny package from either party, but based on recent negotiations, it seems very improbable to pass. The Democrats are seeking a robust, comprehensive package that includes funding for state and local governments, another stimulus check, and all the features that they would like to include, and as much funding as possible in those areas. The Republican-backed skinny bill is totally moving in the opposite direction, and it may not ever have enough support to ever see the light of day. But one thing is for certain, time is of the essence as the fiscal year does end on September 30th, and we are in the middle of an election season, and both parties have a lot at stake. This might be the most consequential election that we'll ever see in our lifetimes, but we have to remain vigilant and patient when it comes to the next stimulus package. I'll be sure to update you on any new developments, and if you enjoyed this video, be sure that you give it a big thumbs up, smash the like button. It'll just help with that YouTube algorithm. YouTube will push the video out to more people, and it does support me. And if you want to see more videos from my channel, I do post videos every single week covering business, finance, investing, entrepreneurship, mindset, strategy, and tips and tricks from my own experience. I also do these stimulus check and stimulus package updates, so if you're interested in any of those topics or niches, feel free to subscribe, hit that big red button. And if you want to be notified every single time I make a new video, so you're first line to see it before anyone else, be sure that you do click that little notification bell as well, so you're notified every single time I make a new video. Looking forward to seeing you in the next one.